like winter. And on their name, put some respect. Yeah. I think it's time for reality check. Yeah, reality check. Gotta get you back on cold. Reality check. For the young and the old. Reality check. Yeah, the heal your soul. Reality check. Get ready for the show.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? How's
What?
everybody doing?
What up, though?
It's Wednesday evening. It's Wednesday evening, and you know what time it is.
It's my day. It's my
Yeah,
day.
it's time for reality check. You know,
That's
this
for sure.
this is a time in a sense when we check reality. I know. How you doing, Zachary Holmes? But thing is, this is that reality check is important, and it's important because see, a lot of times we try to run away from reality. I'm not going to tell a lie. Sometimes I want to run away from it too. I do. Sometimes I like to pretend I'm brave and everything, but then in a sense, it's not really bravery. It's just you live. You live. The other day, one of my colleagues said, "Yeah, Dr. Winters, there's a woman who'd like to talk to you." I said, "Oh, that's cool. That's cool." And she said, "Should I give her your number, or did you want a number?" I said, "No." I said, I'm a free black man right now. And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I'm a free black man. I don't have. There's no women in the house. No women in the house. I mean, hey, the only woman that can boss me now is my daughter, and she's the only one who can, you know, call me up and tell me what I need to do. But if I had a woman in this house, then she'd be okay at first. Then after a while, she'd want to boss me around and stuff. And then I mean, it's true. A friend of my one of my son's wife uncle. He's in the hospital now, and his girlfriend came to the hospital. The hospital, asked him could she help him? Could she help pay her daughter's car note and stuff? This man is trying to. He's in the hospital. He's trying to get well. But see that's just the way it is. People need you. People need you. But see me, I'm a free black man. No women around the house, and so I can put my books anywhere I wish. I don't have to, in a sense, don't have to dial everything up. I try to mop and keep the house clean though. I don't
Well,
want to
you're not a bum, obviously, and you're not dusty because no
yeah.
tethering over there.
I don't want the house to get that old people smell. You know.
Speaking of the house, though, I find that sometimes our conversations with reality check, they're always grounded in our foundations, like how we were raised, how our parents brought us up. Even just saying that, raised, reared, being brought up, it's very small things, but I find that they connect us to a very large picture of our ethnicity. And inside of that, foundational Black Americans, Native Black freedmen, however you identify y'all, as long as you're of this land, there's some constants. Like you said, in the house. I was thinking about running in and out the house. Like you gonna pick a destination and that's where you're gonna be. You're gonna be outside or you're gonna be inside, right? And then I think as I'm an adult, as I get older and I have my own minis now. It's probably the power bill, the AC, like we're not trying to air condition the whole neighborhood, but then that you're never going to do that. Like some of our sayings are just so wild. But was that foreign for you? Did you not going to be running in and out the house, or, you need to go outside and kind of stay there until?
Well, back in the day, things were much more safer, and so a lot of times, in a sense, you'd be out till the street lights come on, and that was make it home before the street lights, things like that. But now, now things are kind of different. But a lot of times back in the day, our parents, they used to try to teach us a lot of things, and one of the ways that they found to teach us is that, you know, whereas whereas yes, we had in a sense a lot of practice. We had a lot of instruction that came from people trying to demonstrate it to us how to do things. Another way that our parents used to teach us was they wanted us to have cognition. And what I mean by cognition, they wanted you to think about what it was that made your life important, for example, the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. In other words, in a sense, it couldn't just be, it's not always good for the individual. And I know when I was growing up, in a way, I hated that because I didn't have the idea that I could do a lot of things that I wanted to do. I always felt in a sense that since, everybody was watching you, everybody was, they knew you, they knew your father, they knew your mom, and a lot of times you couldn't get into trouble because if you got in trouble, they tell and you get your ass whooped.
That part. I think I told you one time, me and my brother, we just knew we were so slick, and we were just gonna go up the street to Shoppers, not Food Line. It might have been Shoppers. Safeway. Maybe it was Safeway. I don't know, but we were literally only going up the street just to get some snacks and then go back home. And that was we were being bad because we were not supposed to be outside the house when our parents weren't home. We were supposed to be inside when they weren't home. And then when they were home, then we could go, to the destinations that we could go to. But one time we just said, no, we're gonna go, and the neighbor snitched on us, and we didn't even know the neighbor was watching us like that. It was,
you said the neighbor snitched on you, huh?
Sure did snitch, because I think maybe it was something like she might have called my aunt, and then my aunt calls the house. Nobody answers the phone.
Oh,
why?
wow.
Because nobody's home, because we were down the street. And I know we probably snuck out a couple times, but one of the times I think we saw her coming home, we saw the truck and we're trying to get to the house.
Yeah.
But anyway, like you said, things were a lot safer back then. So, the ass whooping that we were going to get was probably the most dangerous thing that.
That reminds me of once I was giving a lecture to some of the other brothers. We was outside, and so I was trying to explain to them how I use psychology on my parents, So I was talking, and they kind of all of a sudden they start looking kind of funny at me,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, yes, you have to in a sense understand that the adult mind is very childish, and since the adult mind is very childish, you have to in a sense make sure that you allow them to think that they're in control. Next thing I know, I felt a damn belt on my ass. Turned around, my father said, "Yeah, here's your child psychology." I'm out there bragging about how I'm using psychology on my parents, and I didn't get home in time. And I guess my mom said, "Go find it." So I felt so embarrassed because I was trying to teach them how to really, in a sense, get parents to do what you want them to do. But you need those wake up calls every now and then. But again, in a sense, is that you get on the roof, get on somebody's garage and jump down, and then they tell your mom, and then she tell your dad, and you're getting your butt whooped and stuff. Why you on those people? Why you in those people backyard? You know you ain't supposed to be on their roof and all that type of stuff. See, nowadays, the people don't hardly know you, so they don't come telling you what your kids have done. But so
Well,
I don't know. I don't have any kids.
It's probably the neighborhood. You got to think about where you're living, and then I very strongly believe that the experiments from 5 years ago made everybody very comfortable in their seclusion, even though everybody wants to be included. They want to be social, but then they've lost the steps. You don't have to call somebody's house phone to talk to the underage person who's not paying the phone bill anymore. Like that.
They got their
own phones, right? So it's like you want to talk to the child.
But I found a lot of the kids. There's a lot of emotional damage was done. There's still a lot of kids who are afraid to go back to school. Still a lot of kids are afraid to go back to school. It's a lot of kids that get very anxious when they get around other children in crowds because it didn't last that long. But that time out of school, that time being at home, it made a lot of children who were very outgoing. They became introverts and stuff. They're afraid to really relate. They're afraid to be around crowds, and it's sad too. But the thing is, this is that some people even have their children going to see psychiatrists to try to get over this. But I always
about it. It's to me as an educator, I never liked the hands off approach or the drop off mentality that some parents have. Like, I get it. We are around your child more than you are for the most part, right? We're around them 8, 9 hours, 10 hours if they're doing some sort of extracurricular activity. And then you're around them for feeding time and sleeping time and then weekend time. So who's around your child more? Some parents are like, look, I gave them to you. They need to know how to read, write, arithmetic, all that stuff. And they need to know how to wipe their butts, put on deodorant, talk to girls, talk to boys, not be disciplinary problem. Teachers are like, wait a minute, hold up, pause on the play. And
I had parents even tell me that they wanted me to whoop their children. I said, I didn't even want to whip my own kids. I'm not going to be whipping your child.
Aspect? No.
What's that?
I'm saying you had parents say it's okay to whoop them, or no, go ahead and whoop them. Like which one was it?
Go ahead and whoop them, or you can whoop them. And then I had a mom come. I had a mom come up, and I some people got mad at me, and so she wanted to chastise the kid in the class. I said, "Ma'am, would you take him into the washroom?" And then she took him in the washroom and whooped his butt. He came back crying. And some people said, "Now, Dr. Winters, why'd you do that?" I said, I didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing, Right. You're supposed to report stuff like that. I didn't see it. She took him into the washroom,
Yep.
Don't
You did it privately, right? I mean, geez. No, I remember, and my brother's probably gonna get me for saying this, but I remember his kindergarten teacher because it was one of the only Black teachers we had for like 8 years. And then there was another Black lady, but she was a substitute teacher. So I don't really count her as much as I do count her because it was Mrs. Leftwich. And then it was, can't think of what her name is right now. My brother's kindergarten teacher was, the Black teacher. And I'm 98.7% sure that my parents told that lady that she could discipline my brother if he was a problem. But I think that they felt safe with her because she was, the only other Black person there. And she never seemed like, she wasn't like a do-gooder or a mammy or anything. She's like looking out for oh shit, there's some kids here. Like, okay, protect them type.
But the parent don't understand is that sounds all well and good. but also you could be up for a suit if you were to be trying to have corporal punishment. You know, it was all well and good back in the day. You know, back when I first started teaching, corporal punishment was okay. In other words, you know, you could get kids, they come up and you hit them on the hand with a
With the
ruler.
ruler and
You
stuff.
could hit them with a paddle on the butt. But
Hmm.
remember, that was outlawed. That was outlawed in Illinois and what about at least by 1990 something. It was outlawed. You couldn't. Corporal punishment was outlawed, and as soon as they outlawed corporal punishment, kids looked like they went crazy, and it was very difficult, you know. And then at the same time this was occurring, you know, it was less and less men was in the home, and because it was less and less men in the home by the time I retired, it was very difficult as a male teacher to really be able to relate to your students because most of them didn't have any men in their lives. They didn't have no men in their lives, and so then they didn't know how to be scared of a man. You know, when I was, you know, back in the day, when I first started, they would give the male teachers the bad kids, you know?
Discipline children
Yeah, the
problem.
disciplined children, problem children. Nowadays, in a sense, if you got discipline problems, you got to give them to a woman because these kids do not know how to respond to a man. They don't know how to respond to a male. You know, maybe I don't know. Maybe if you was in maybe if you were trans, maybe you could do well. But I don't know. I saw this video of this trans the other day talking about one the kids in his room was giving him a hard time because they kept telling him that he was a man.
Oh yeah, no, I saw that one.
You
I
saw
saw
that
that.
video?
That
Yeah,
was hilarious. And
yeah,
look, man, for all of you transformers out here, if you're not comfortable with you, being a teacher is not that's not the job
place
for
to
you.
be. No,
It's not, because not only are children going to make you feel some kind of way, but you're going to feel some type of way extra because you let a child make you feel some type of way.
right.
And I was reading, oh my gosh, there's this story of this white lady teacher who was having, she's a pedophile, right? So she's having inappropriate relations with one of her students. And the text message thread between this lady and this 16-year-old boy, she's all, and I should have never let you use me. And I knew you were going to do this to me. And I'm like, lady, this is a child. You're talking to a freaking child about he's manipulated you and made you feel. And you're 30 years old, 25, 20. He's a child. And what? And
But that was her hormones talking. You know, that was her hormones. And see that's not let's
and
not
she's
forget
married, right?
that doesn't matter that she's married. It's still those hormones. That's the most beautiful time. The most beautiful time with your woman is when she's still when she can still in a sense have that period and have those eggs drop once a month. At least you know you're gonna have sex at least once time a month. You're gonna have some sex maybe. Might not have none the rest of the month, but you know you're gonna have some at least once a month. You know, but then that's why after they start to go into menopause, hell, you know, it's up in the air. You know,
Oh
my
man.
my daughter, my daughter, my son's wife is always talking about all these old men that coming. You know, she's at the Chicago, public health center. You know, she's always talking about all these old men are coming in with gonorrhea and syphilis. I said, why are you upset? They're going to see prostitutes. They got to go somewhere. A lot of them don't have wives, and a lot of times your wife is going to say, hey, I'm not getting nothing out of this. What am I doing this for? I'm not getting nothing out of this. What am I doing this for?
Actually, I saw a story
wife?
a couple years ago about the nursing homes and how STD rates in nursing homes are crazy through the roof. I've also seen nursing homes are dens for predators because, you know, you're up in age, your family done stuck you somewhere, and who
And
knows
then
when
somebody
they're
might rape
through.
you, if
Yeah.
you know, and then remember, it's a lot of young people in these, you know, it's a lot of young. Well, it used to be. They still would be relatively young. You know, it's a whole lot of former gangbangers in these nursing homes. You know, they got they got kneecap. You know, back in the day, remember? Well, you didn't know.
Oh, oh,
Back in the day, a lot of times, if you was a drug dealer and you didn't handle the deal right, they shoot you and you know, cripple you. So a lot of people, a lot of young people used to be in these nursing homes and stuff. And then you have some guys are just so undisciplined that they be raping older women and old ladies and raping retarded people. Some people are just people just don't have any discipline and morality anymore. It was certain things you didn't do.
See, I'd call that home training, but then people home training, that's how you're reared, raised, how your
But it
parents.
doesn't matter. Some people just want to do. Some people just want to do it. You know,
Some people. There are some just bad people.
There's
just some bad people out here, and it's not any racial divide. It's unity there. Bad people across the board. But I would say that here in America, babies and old people are breeding grounds for predators because of the lack of autonomy. You know, as you get up in age and you get put somewhere that somebody has to take care of you, and it's not family, they might not give a shit that you haven't rolled over in hours, you know, that you've got ulcers on the side of your legs or whatever. But it's a money maker too, because again, you don't have the time to be in the nursery with your baby. You got to go to work. You don't have the time to sit with your old parent who's getting up there in age, because you got to go to work. So you got to put them somewhere. But I found this when you were talking about it. And here in America, these are the red states are where you can still do corporal punishment. And then it's illegal in the dark blue states. And then.
See, there's Illinois. It's illegal here.
Yeah. And what we got, blue for Virginia, corporal punishment in public schools, illegal. So, yeah, can't do that as much as you want to in the schools. But I have a student right now. He's given me such a hard time. The students that give me the hardest times are the ones that are funny. And when I say funny, I don't mean like they're goofy. I mean like they're adult funny. And I don't mean like they're adult funny. I mean that you can tell that they have conversations with their parents, or maybe that they're listening to their parents have conversations. Maybe they're watching things that might be a little mature for them. And they're funny. They're picking up things that I know that they haven't actually grasped it yet. You know, they're too young to understand it like that.
Just like before the epidemic of a lot of you back in the day, you couldn't find that many gay black women, you know, or bisexual black women. But then, you know, around 2008, 2008, 2007, when I used to start visiting a lot of these parents' homes, a lot of these parents, they had the pornographic films with the rest of the films in the library. And, you know, and in all the pornographic films, they got to have the girl on girl sex. And I think the presence of the girl on girl sex, I think, encouraged a lot of that stuff. I know my daughter always say that she used to say that, you know, you can't really, you can find a bisexual woman, but you can't find a bisexual man. And she's absolutely correct, because most of the time, if that brother start getting involved in you know, and having sex with, you know, oral sex, you know, after a while, they don't really care who the hell it is. So it's kind of very difficult. But I think in a sense is that it's another thing that makes America very, very sad is that a lot of children don't know how a lot of children, maybe adults, a lot of adults and even some children feel that the way you show you love somebody is to have sex with them. Mm-hmm. You know, because they feel that, you know, they look at the movies and the ultimate objective of sex is eventually to have some type of sexual relationship. And so then they don't, we don't make enough movies to really show the platonic, nature of love. And that you can love somebody and not have to have sex with them. But a lot of young people feel that, and even some adults feel that if I really love you, then we should have sex. And that,
Well, yeah.
and
That's part of that misinformation being spread amongst children that Doravelle put in the chat, and it made me think about this episode of Black Mirror. I don't know if you watch Black Mirror or not. I think
what is it?
Black Mirror is a TV show on Netflix.
No, I've never seen it. What is it about?
Oh, it's very good. It's one of those shows that give you a hyper realistic reality that you could see happening right now, and then the episodes can be connected, but for the most part they're not connected.
And
so
what are they? Is it sci-fi? Is it drama or what?
both.
Oh,
Sci-fi, drama, reality. I don't know what genre it specifically supposed to be in, because I think let's see, speculative fiction is what it says.
okay.
But this episode is kind of like what we were talking about. You see it on the yeah, there we go. Yeah, like Twilight Zone. No, and it's not American made, but
I'm 2,000 years old, and I remember when we used to open up the door and just let the kids pee.
Sarah! Sarah! Sarah!
Hey, lady!
Sarah!
I found her!
Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
Sarah will be part of our trial period.
Response so far is just incredible. A sense of security, peace of mind. The stories we've been hearing, they are truly inspirational.
It's completely safe.
Sure it is, honey.
It looks interesting.
that episode, I hate doing the spoiler thing, but that episode, she puts parental controls on the kid, so then she can't see bad things. Like, so she saw something bad, and then she's all traumatized. So now her mom takes away her ability to see bad things. But then, what is bad? If you scrape your knee and it's blood, is that too graphic for you to see? Or, you see somebody getting robbed on the corner, is that too graphic for you to see? And it was just so trippy, because people really, they want control like that, but then they don't want the responsibility for what happens when you have control like that. And, well, I don't know, just
But I think it's very difficult, very difficult. I think that we, black and white people have been educated in different ways. White people, they've been educated in a way where they have to see it to know it, to feel it, you see. Whereas with black people, we were educated that don't always pay attention to what you see, but think about what you're doing. There's a difference.
That's that cognition you were talking about.
Right. And that's why, because see, a lot of our instruction came from, like saying, a hard head makes a sore ass, things like, and some of the other
look at this one. If I saw this back when I was pregnant, I might have used it just because it's kind of cute and cliche all at the same time. Baby shower games are very cliche, but you need something to pass the time, get everybody interested. Do you see on the bottom? Let's play a game. All right, you got blank money. What goes there, Dr. Winters? Do you know? In the chat, do y'all know?
You got money.
You got blank money. What goes in that blank right there?
I'm not hip.
You got McDonald's money, or what? I mean, it was always McDonald's for us, but you're in the car, gas money. That's
Oh, you
what
got gas money. You're always hearing that. That is a very common phrase in the Black community. I have to admit, you got gas money.
Gas money. Look, and then so I guess what I would do if I were going to play this game at a baby shower, it would have to be the general consensus, because whatever everybody's saying, that's going to have to be what goes. I know.
And this is what the questions they ask that some.
Yeah, this is a black mama sayings baby shower game, right?
Oh.
So you pass this out, everybody fills it in, and then you get to laugh at all of the different things. And when I saw white people saying things that I heard when I was growing up, I'm like, do they have a black friend? Were they over their black friend's house? Like number 8, do I look like blank, 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 blank to you? What goes there? Do you know what goes there?
I never used to go to baby showers. I drop my wife off and I pick her up.
See,
and we had even when she had a baby shower, I didn't want to show up. I thought that
because it's not really for the guys; it's really for the ladies. But then people have taken baby showers and done so many things. The experiments from a couple of years ago, they had drive-by baby showers because you're not.
Wait. What is a drive-by baby shower?
It's when you drive by, you throw the gift out the car, and you keep it moving, and then that way you weren't passing your COVID germs to anybody if you had any of those. But I from drive-by graduations when they were just chucking out the diplomas to the drive-by baby showers, people do the most. But number 8, you've never said that. Maybe these are just blackisms in my house. Number 8, do I look like Boo Boo the Fool to you? Because I didn't know who Boo Boo the Fool was, but I knew that no, if she's asking me this, then the answer is no. But then, damn, what did I do that made her start asking me questions like, who the hell is Boo Boo the Fool? Like, what are we talking about? You've never heard any of these sayings, Dr. Winters?
No.
What about number 6? Stop all that blank before I give you blank to cry about. Never
heard that one either.
Really?
Yeah.
Stop all that crying before I give you something to cry about.
Yeah, like I tell you, some things I would lose my. See, if they were doing this at the baby showers, I would have probably had to let my wife answer that stuff because I didn't go to baby showers. I stayed in my place. When her friends would come over, I would go somewhere else. And when my friends would come over, she would say hi, and then she'd go somewhere else. Maybe it's female thing, like, who do you think you're talking to?
Right.
I blank one of your. I don't know that. Stop all that.
Who do you think you're talking to? I know. I blank one of. Oh, I'm not one of your little friends. That's right, MDDK. I ain't one of your little friends. That's so messed up, right? I always thought that was a messed up one to hear because I thought that you was my friend. I thought we was friends. But then no, your parents are not your friends. You learn this when you're a child and they have to do something that might hurt or you don't like a lot. And then you have to have that conversation where you're not, first of all, you're not about to talk to me like this. I ain't one of your little friends. You're not about to act like this. I ain't one of your little friends. Who do you think you're talking to? A little bass in your voice.
I'm glad they got the answer key with it, so I sure the hell wouldn't know what to do. But they used to try to get me to come to baby shower. I had 6 children, so that where was I? I wasn't there, or I'd be in another room or somewhere. But I'd let the women do their thing. I just always feel women, y'all be with the women and all that type of stuff. Because I just felt that was the best way to be. What is this? Go ahead.
Here, watch this one. I think you'll like this one. It'll help make things make sense. Oh, I gotta unmute it though, because then that'll make sense. Okay, here we go. Me press play.
Mother. Of course I'm gonna say, turn these damn lights out. You don't pay no bills in this motherfucker. I'm a black mother. Of course I say, I brought you in this world. I'll take your black ass out. I'm a black mother. When you get in the car, don't ask me for no damn McDonald's. Of course I'm gonna say, we got McDonald's at home. I'm a black mother. Of course I'm gonna say, you cold? Put your robe on. You hot? Take the robe the fuck off. I'm a black mother. Of course I will beat your ass and then apologize by saying you need something from 7-Eleven. I'm a black mother. Of course I'm gonna say, get your ass in this car, sit down, and don't say shit. And when we get to that store, don't you ask for a damn thing.
Ask for nothing.
I'm a black mother. Of course I've had to rob Peter to pay Paul, work 3 jobs sometimes, fight for everything I got. Because I am the most undervalued, disrespected, unprotected species on the planet. I'm a black.
Now, okay. Chemistry, black magic. You, Tammy, do look like she's on something. And I think that's part of the stereotype.
She don't look like she on coke to me. She does look like, I mean, see, that's what I'm saying. Cultures, black culture is so diffused today. And it's a lot of things are not as common as you would imagine. Because a lot of people in a sense today is disjointed. The whole idea of the culture is disjointed because they've allowed a lot of make-believe stuff to come into it. You want to show some more? Let's see.
No, watch this one. Okay, this one's got a black dad there.
Mom, of course I ain't one of your little friends.
I'm a black dad. Of course you don't touch my thermostat.
I'm a black mom. Of course I'm gonna call you all your siblings' names before I get to your name, but you know who I'm talking to.
I do that.
Black dad. Of course I bust in the room, see what's going on in the room for absolutely no reason.
I'm a black mom. Of course my purse is as heavy as a dead body.
I'm a black dad. Of course who the hell you think you're talking to?
That part.
I'm a black mom. Of course you need to go upstairs and put on some more lotion. Looking ashy.
I'm a black dad. Of course don't slam my car door.
I'm a black mom. Of course I need you to show me how to work this thing, please. This is stupid. We're black parents. Of course if someone messes with one of our babies.
We catching cases.
Not my baby. I'm a black mom.
You had to send some of those. Touch the thermostat. You weren't talking about the thermostat.
Who, me?
Man, I don't think I've been beat for the thermostat. I might have got a whooping one time for.
I didn't. Those are things in a sense that I would. My wife was always chilly. So the thing is this, that she controlled the thermostat.
Clyde, you make everything like your wife was a very lucky woman. That's what I'm gonna say.
I was a very lucky man, but see, I fell in love. See, I fell in love, and that was the worst thing that could have happened to me. But it was the most beautiful thing that could have happened to me. My life would have been totally different, because when I went to college, all the girls felt, hell, you should want me because I go to college, you go to college. I had my baby doll at home. I already had somebody. I was already in love. And so the thing is this, is that I'm happy I was in love. But the thing is this, is that I know that things may have would have been different if I wouldn't have fell in love. Because see, most people in a sense, sometimes your greatest love is the one you had before you went to college. And when I went to college, I just watched how all these girls, they would always be enamored by the upperclassmen, and then by they'll be and quit their boyfriend, and then by November or January, the upperclassmen had moved on, and you got nobody. The girls, they would have nobody because they didn't quit the boy at home because they felt, hey, I met this new guy, and they no, he was just bullish. And so then it's very complicated, very complicated. Then some of the girls would push their beds together, so you knew what happened then. I mean, damn, y'all strangers, now y'all too intimate. But the thing is this though, is that in trying to be who you are and trying to represent is very difficult, I think.
I would agree. College is a very strange place, and to the family who's been in the military, I've heard specifically that the Navy is like college, because when you're on the ship, it's just y'all on the ship, right? So then you're kind of like a dorm, but on the water and away from everybody else. But then some college towns, it is the college that's there, and then there's people, almost like some Truman Show shit, where you got people around the college, but the college that's it. I nixed a bunch of colleges that I was accepted into off of that one thing. When we went to go visit, that was it. It was the college, and I was like, well, what do y'all do for fun? Oh, y'all tip cows. Okay. Yeah, no, that's not my forte. So gonna have to bypass Liberty.
The union. It was the union. It was the union. Everybody, you go to the union. You go to the union, and then you just mess around. That was the union was the place where they had the little restaurant. You had a little place.
Yeah. I mean, at the college I hate to say it. Outside of getting, I got scholarship for undergrad, and I chose the school that gave me the most money.
That was smart.
From there, it also had a Chick-fil-A, and I was so excited because I was like, "Hell, there's a Chick-fil-A on campus! What?" And it's still closed on Sundays, which is stupid. Like, I just knew I was gonna be able to have Chick-fil-A on Sunday because it was right there.
Sunday is the worst day of the week when you're in college. At least when I was in college, because
no, it's the same. The cafeteria is only open breakfast and dinner.
12 o'clock, and then after that, you got to find somewhere to eat, and it is so hard. I didn't know it was still like that on campus.
Oh no, it's still like that. All right, so I went to Old Dominion. You can see my little boot ODU thing on the wall.
Okay.
I went to Old Dominion, and they had it, and this was some years ago. So we live very close, so we drive through campus often, and it's so much bigger than it was even 10 years ago. And by bigger, I mean that it's moved into the neighborhood. Some colleges are the only thing in that city, and then some colleges take over the city that it's in. Here in this area, you've got competing colleges, Virginia Wesleyan, Norfolk State, Old Dominion University. These are all on this side of the water. And then on the other side of the water, there's other colleges too. So it's like
University of Virginia, University of Maryland, and all that. Yeah, the big ones.
But ODU was like, no, they started buying neighborhood houses. And then they said, okay, yeah, this is going to be senior housing now. So the people in the neighborhood, I don't know if they were rezoned, if this was like redlining from the college, because they're right smack dab in the middle of Black area, or what used to be a Black area. It's not a Black area anymore. And Norfolk is hood-ish, but I don't know. I'm so
like Chemistry Black Magic said, Norfolk is the hood. Is it the hood?
It's got hood qualities, but I find that most neighborhoods, most cities that are like Norfolk, or I don't know, maybe it's just a certain amount of people in the city. And you being in Chicago, that's completely different. All the Black people in the area that's foreign to me. And I'm from DC. I'm from DC when it was called Chocolate City. So it's not that I've never been around a whole bunch of niggas before, but the amount of people you were talking about is insane. And then they say black on black crime, and they are always referencing Chicago. So that's already Twilight Zone-ish for me. But here in Norfolk, it's they got pockets, you know, it's a pocket of a hood.
I don't,
5 minutes away, it'll be like Jewtown. It's
oh,
crazy.
y'all had a Jewtown too?
We do. We have one. It's about 5 minutes away that way. And you can only live there if you wear a small hat. They will not show you the house for open houses. It's very illegal what they're doing, but then they just put the price ticket out of your range, and then you're not even worried about it.
Nah.
So it's crazy. But
you know, we like in Chicago, you know, that's the open housing thing really just helped the Jews to me, you know, because you know, it allowed the Jews to, you know, like at first the Jews used to be stuck on the east side of Chicago, you know, southeast side of Chicago. Then open housing allowed them to move throughout. You know, they may have owned suburban houses, but they couldn't live in them, you know. They couldn't live in them. And but you know, open housing really helped them to be able to get away from Negroes and stuff.
I mean, it's a racket. I've seen so many businesses go out of business to be taken over by some foreigner here that I'm like, something's got to give. But
you know, but now we know that they give them loans. They give them everything to make sure, in a sense, that they can overcome us, anything to keep us down.
Oh, for sure. I think I showed you the lady. She lost her food truck, and I don't know. For a couple of years, I wanted to get a food truck. I still think I have so many interests. I think that's one of the coolest things you can do is like just sell your food wherever you're at. You know, you just go, and that's so cool.
Like it would be hard to cook on a food truck to me. You know, I mean, and you'd have to cook so much.
That and you would have to you got to find your niche, right? So
now I'm interested. What made you want to have a food truck, Eve?
Well, at one point I was making food for people because people don't like to cook for themselves. So honestly, if you know how to cook, you will always have somebody who's going to pay you to cook, because there's always going to be somebody out there that doesn't want to cook for themselves or don't know how to cook for themselves. But at one point I was making, you know, meals, and I was like, shit, I could Meals on Wheels this thing based off of you know, what I'm selling. And with our business, you know, talk to downtown, and they said, absolutely, you can do that. You can make your house a restaurant if you do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. And I said, damn, I could just put this in a truck. I'm not doing all. One example, we have these our doors downstairs are not doors, they are openings. We have a dog, so in order to get food licensing, I have to put doors up so that the dog can't just be wherever. And our dog doesn't go in the kitchen. She knows better and all of that stuff. But I'm fine with the restrictions, but that's just one of the things. It's like,
your dog doesn't go in the kitchen?
I mean, she kind of do, but then she knows that she's not supposed to be in there. So no, she don't.
Oh wow, that's kind of cool, you know. My wife wanted her dog to be her dog to be everywhere, you know. I mean, damn.
Not only is she as big as a horse, but
oh, you got a big one, huh? Yeah.
But I can't. I think it's weird that people have their animals in kitchens, but I grew up with, man, my parents had cats, and the cats you can't tell a cat to not be anywhere. It's gonna say fuck you and then knock something off the counter.
And it'll scratch you too if it get ready. It'll do whatever the hell it wants.
It's like, so Yeah, we don't have cat. I like cats. Don't have cats though, because you can't. They're disobedient. Dogs are so great, especially if you have like a working dog. We have a working dog, not a plaything. You know, they say, "Oh, does your dog bite?" And it's like, it's got teeth, don't it? You know,
y'all got a vicious dog, okay.
But you know, I said they're asking me to do too much to this house, so I'd rather just put it in a truck. And because everything's vegan anyway that I was serving, it's not a lot that I had to do. I just needed to find a truck. But then that was a whole process. And then I don't know, I guess I kind of gave up on the truck and started doing something else. But then I saw that lady that I showed y'all a couple months ago. She had to sell her food truck to an illegal who had a loan from the bank.
Yeah.
And the bank was telling her, well, we normally don't do this, but you know, we're gonna let it slide. And that's like, the bank could have done that for you. Like, what is going on?
Everything is red. Everything is red line. Everything is red line. It's just like, that's why you find black people in their homes don't look, you know, they bought new homes, but then when they want to remodel, they can't even get them remodeled. A lot of times the banks don't want to give you a loan and stuff like that. It is so much racism, and racism is never going to end. I really believe that racism will never end, because the fact is that they don't want you to have anything, and that's the whole point of that reparations check. What you gonna do with that check, nigga?
I saw it might have been Phil Advise, one of Phil Advise's channels. African diaspora. I think this was his channel that I was watching, this lady, and she said, people keep saying, y'all blacks need to go back to Africa. And she was making some really good points about America would go to shit overnight almost if all the black people in America just went somewhere else, not to Africa. Let's just take that and put that somewhere else. Some of us are going back to Europe and reclaiming them castles and, you know, things of that nature. But let's just say we all left America, mass exit. $1.7 trillion of spending gone.
Right.
All the culture, food, and cool things that everybody likes gone. There was you know Key and Peele, right? The comedians.
Yeah.
I think they did a Black History Month with no black people. Did you see that one?
Why don't you can you find it?
I'll see if I can find it. Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's you know, it's very interesting, because see, the whole point is that people can't understand is America is us. America wouldn't be anything without us. And the thing is that's what I was bringing up the other day when I was on my when I was on one of my talk shows. I was talking about the fact is that the white man America is now 246 years old. White civilizations do not go past 200. You know, the Roman civilization was very integrated by the time it failed. But I'm really wondering what's going to happen in the next 20 years, because see, they've overstood their civilization. Are we going to let it fall, or will it fall? But then we're somehow going to break away. I'm very interested in it. Maybe I'll live to see it. I don't know, because see, no white civilization has went past 200 years, and they went past 246, and so it's getting to be quite interesting. You know,
I think it's a wonderful time for you to have said that thought, because I asked my AI, and it would not tell me definitively that you were accurate, as much as it just said that civilizations come and go all the time.
No.
Don't you know? And well, that's just life. You know, what goes up must come down. And I'm like, not the AI is plebiscite.
We had the Spanish. We had the Spanish. Then we had the Dutch. Then we had the British. And now it's America. I mean, there's no more white folks left after this.
Right? They fizzling out. But okay, so it wasn't Key and Peele, but it was on MTV. I remember it from a while ago, but
Oh, I hate having a birthday during Black History Month. Why do I only get a day when they get an entire month?
You're so smart, babe.
You know what we really need? We need a White History Month.
Did someone say that there should be a White History Month?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Let me guess, you're not racist or anything, but you just think it'd be better if we didn't have a Black History Month in America at all.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ugh, let's get this over with.
And then Chadwick wins cribbage.
It's Mandy and I. Why are we dressed so lame? And what are those stupid ass shoes? Why is everything so different?
Well, you see, Chad, without Black inventors, our world would have missed out on huge advancements in cell phone technology, gaming consoles, and personal computers. Not to mention important shoemaking techniques, light bulbs that last more than a few days, and delicious, delicious potato chips. A world without Black history is completely different.
Yeah, but all that stuff would have gotten invented anyway.
If all inventions are inevitable, then why celebrate any inventors, Chad?
Wait, where's Grandpa? Grandpa's dead?
Yes. Not only did a Black engineer help invent the pacemaker, but the first successful open heart surgery was done by a Black surgeon, so... But Black history is not just about technology. So, what do you feel like listening to? Classical, Irish step dancing, polka music, an entire crooner station, more classical.
Okay, I see what you're doing here. And just put on Elvis and I'll be good.
Elvis who?
Fine. I walked right into that. Kenny Chesney or something.
Ooh, sorry, dude. Country music has its roots in Black R&B, which means a world without Black history is a world without country music.
No! This place is lame. Where are we?
Times Square, Midtown Manhattan. Ever heard of it?
Yeah, right. There's more like some boring ass town and some shitty little country or some shit.
Pretty much. Not only was most of early New York City built by African slaves, but without Black slaves, the South never developed its labor-intensive cotton and tobacco plantations.
What?
Which means that the North never developed its financial sector or heavy industries meant to support that very same lucrative cotton industry.
What?
It's entirely possible that without the contributions of Black Americans, we wouldn't have the money to have made the Louisiana Purchase from France.
What?
The land deal that expanded America's borders and catapulted it into being one of the world's leading food producers, as well as a global leader.
Wait, so you're saying that without Black people, most of this country is owned by France?
It's entirely possible.
No, take me back. I want to go back. I want to go back. What month is it?
February.
Specifically.
Black History Month?
Oh, thank God. Happy Black History Month, Grandpa. Happy Black History Month, potato chip. Happy Black History Month, cell phone. Happy Black History Month, hip hop and streetwear girl. God bless Black History Month.
Black History Month? You just said there should be a white history rule.
I'm woke now.
It's funny, but it's true. I mean, they wouldn't have industrialization. They wouldn't have telephones. They wouldn't have computers. They wouldn't have open hearts. They wouldn't have shit.
Yep,
without us.
It would be a very dark time. And then, well, shit, we wouldn't even be on the laptop right now or on the.
Well, we wouldn't be here. We'd be over in Africa, and they'd be still trying to threaten to come in and wipe us out. Because see, the thing is that it's just like it's very difficult. That's why I'm so fascinated. I wish I was younger, but I'm so fascinated because I'm just wondering what's going to happen in the next 20, 30, 40 years, because see, their time has been up. Their time is up. 246 years, their time is up. Their time is up. Yes, they're losing their trade connections. China took over all the trade. China got all the manufacturing. China got everything now. You see, and the problem, but the problem is that because of the fact that they depend on those people, they depend on those business people. I'm not going to say what ethnic group they belong to, but they depend on these business people who only think about money.
They wear hats, you guys.
Yeah, they wear little caps sometimes. Oh. See, because of the fact that they depend on these people, what that means is by them depending on these people, that means in a sense is that they put themselves into a situation where they don't have a future. Because see, we made all the inventions. I mean, without the resistor, there wouldn't be anything. Without the telephone, I mean, all that type of good stuff. The whole world civilization is based upon us and what we do, and yet a lot of us feel so unworthy because the fact is that we don't know our history. You know, it's three things that every black child should know. Number one, that they're foundational Black Americans. Number two, you know, they have an Aboriginal, European, African ancestry. Number three, they're native to this land, and number four, their surnames are not their slave names. And then when you know those things, then you can move forward. Because see, they want you to believe that everything came as a result of slavery. In a way, it did, because everything came to them as a way of slavery because it gave them an industrial base. You know,
absolutely.
You know, and the beauty of it is that because the fact that we don't want to tear this mother down, and because of the fact that we have a cowardly class of millionaires. See, we don't have any philanthropists. And because we don't have any philanthropists who've been ready to set up, see, if we were really serious about really dominating America, we would have rich people who would have a black think tank, and they would at least in a sense have black law firms, because see, the Constitution is so beautiful that we could just take this country over just by using their laws against them, you see. But luckily, we don't have a class of rich people who want to support a legal fund for Black Americans to keep FBA people up. Because see, there's so many things in the Constitution that you could really make it so in the sense that we could have equity, not equality. Who wants equality? Nobody. There's no such thing as equality. Some people can talk, some people can't talk. Some people can walk, some people can't walk, you know. And so then there's never going to be complete equality. We could at least have equity in the sense that we can have, in a sense, a way to make money. And then I heard this tether, you know, and he's talking about, you know, you FBA people, you guys don't know what to do with your money. And now they was asking Tariq, what are you going to do with your money? And he said, why are you asking me what we're going to do with our money? Because you can't get none of the money anyway.
That part.
You know,
that's a good segue. It's two different things I wanted to show you, but the one that is, I think, on the bottom right now, I think you'll like this if you haven't seen it already.
Oh, her?
Black folks created that name white supremacy.
That's correct. From Africa, because we are just amazed by the things they've done. Well, we describe them always by inventions. That's all. They can command water from far away through tubes into their bedrooms. We can even fetch a bucket of water from the next lake. You will be drowned. They can put electricity. We never had one in Africa. They have airplanes fly over us. It's amazing. Everything they've done is the reason my people say these people are superior, not because of slavery. They came to colonize us and they brought things we have never seen before. They gave a king a mirror and he was dancing and sold his people away. They brought guns we have never seen, boom, and kill somebody, right? You know what they used to do in the Congo?
Right.
They put dynamite in the rocks and then they hide the switch. And then when they point their finger, it go boom. And the Congolese till today, they call the white man keep boom, the sound of the dynamite. And then they go down and they go like this. If they're not superior, why do you see every picture when the white men arrive in Africa, we're bowing to them? We have never seen a gun kill a human being. We have never seen a mirror. We have never seen a radio tune in and somebody speaking from England, the Queen's voice. So for us, all these things, this people must be really superior and close to God. They used to have a joke in Ghana that when God said, let's pray, the white man opened his eyes. The black people were covering his eyes. So the white man saw how God created the world. That's why they are so good at what they do. And I'm telling you, these are folklores from which we grew up. If anyone told you that white people came to Africa to tell us they're superior, it's a lie. They never said that.
Right?
Yeah, but see that's the beauty of it. See that's why they don't want you to know. That's why they don't want the world to know Black history.
That's right. Black history is not African history as much as there's Blacks in Africa, but y'all you gotta learn and relearn it.
I'm sorry to tell you this. family out there, no matter what these people tell you, there's nothing too much in FBA culture that's of African origin. The food is not of African origin. Our culture is not basically of African origin. Just the only thing, you know, that we may have got a little bit from them, and we didn't even get that. The only thing that Black people in America adopted was Irish footwork in dancing. That's the only thing that we do like footwork, you know, and
not the fleeing pitter patter.
That's right. And the only reason the Irish got footwork is because it used to be Black Irish, you know. And it's what get me is just when you just think about between 1600 and 1776, how Black people disappeared. Right. I'm talking about, you know, because just about even Benjamin Franklin was saying that the whole world was swarthy. Even the Germans were swarthy. You know,
everybody was swarthy, and then there was nobody, and then God said, "Let there be light."
We got them damn Ukrainian hoes, you know, and I never met. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm scared of Ukrainian women. I'm scared of them. I don't want to be around no Ukrainian women because she might just get next to me and I might just fall in love or something. I don't know, because see, those Ukrainian women, they destroyed North Africa. They destroyed North Africa because those Turks were selling those Ukrainian slave women, and before you know it, North Africa turned mulatto or whitish. You know, now these brothers over here, they sent a lot of Ukrainians over here. I saw one working at Walmart, and this brother drooling over his ass. I said, "Nigga, what's wrong with you?" "She from Ukraine, brother." I said, "Oh, okay. Understand."
That's funny. I'm gonna get in trouble for this. One of the very first twerk videos I've ever seen in my life was a bunch of Russian Ukrainian women, and this was like from 2007, 8, 9, right at the beginning of social media. My brother sent me a video, and he said, "Have you seen this shit?" And I was like, "When did white girls start dancing like this?" And then I'm like, okay, they're not white girls. Those are European white girls. It's a different type of white girl going on. And I mean, it's crazy because even here in America, you've got white people who are so attached to whiteness that they kind of have like this Hitler aspect about themselves. You know, they want the blonde hair, blue eyes, but then if she's not attractive, blonde hair, blue eyes, then they're not paying any attention to her. And then for what it's worth, all the ones that they keep glorifying are not American. They're European, like straight off the boat last year, in the last 10 years. And y'all know that the food that they feed us here is like a farm animal food for the most part. So the fact that we've got the same brands in Europe, but the ingredients are different, you know, maybe their white people have something that the white people here don't have or lost.
They just care about their people, you know. They care about their people. Over here is about the money. It's about the Benjamin. No matter what people say, it's about the Benjamin.
Maybe that's what we learned from them. You know, I always say that if white people want the credit for any invention, it would be the patent office, right?
Right.
And I didn't make that up. I heard
not so much the patent office. The thing that made Europeans the most popular people on earth is they invented paper money. Remember.
Better than the patent office.
Right. It was better than the patent because see, you know, when you had to make in a sense, when you had to mint coins, that took a lot of trouble. You could only mint so many coins. But see, paper, with paper, you can just flood things with paper. So the most important invention that the white man invented was, in a sense, not gunpowder. It wasn't the gun, it was the paper money. because the paper money allowed him, in a sense, to dominate the world and to infect us with a disease that can destroy many of us, and most of us are destroyed by our quest to get money, money, money.
It's like they stole Mansa Musa's story and then put it in our reality as reality. You know, if y'all look up our GDP and how much money America's supposed to make and the wealth we're supposed to have, you'll find that it says that we're in debt. But then who are we indebted to? If we're the number one country, number one power, how can we owe anything? But then, okay, just put your business hats on for a second. If you spend all your money and you have the opportunity to spend somebody else's money, maybe you spend somebody else's money. You know, you do the credit thing. You know, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Now we've got allies and other countries who will go to bat for us. They'll give us discounts on things. Maybe we don't get taxed so hard, tariffs and stuff like that. But it's crazy that we can be indebted to anywhere when they will just flood the economy with more paper money.
Yeah.
They can just print it.
Because see, remember they passed laws at the World War II in Europe. They decided the American dollar would be the standard, the standard currency after the pound, because Britain had just been so destroyed after World War I, World War II, that they lost that. And so then, I think it was at Brentwood or something like that. The place would begin with a B. They decided that the dollar would be the thing. And so then when they started the oil stuff with the Arabs, they said that you could only buy oil with dollars. You see, and so since you could only buy oil with dollars, that made the dollar the standard currency. They're trying to move away from it, but it's going to be very difficult and hard for them to move away from the dollar because the dollar is just so strong. But what makes the dollar even stronger is that yes, China, we're very indebted to China, but at the same time we're indebted to China. If China says, "Hey, pay us all the money you owe us," what's going to happen?
Then we won't owe them any more money. We won't be responsible for any. I don't know.
No, if China say pay us all the money, and we don't have the money to pay.
Oh, you're saying we don't have the money? Are they supposed to go to war with us?
No, China gonna fall because China's making their money by selling us stuff that really, in a sense, we don't have the money to pay for. But even though we don't have the money to pay for it, because of the fact, in the sense that they got credit, then they're going to let us have the credit. Because the fact is that if they don't let us have the credit, then they don't make any money. The only way they make money is And so then the whole point is this: said yes. So China going to say, "Hey, you better pay us the money." Well, I can't pay you. It's just like when you lend somebody money, and then when they say they can't pay you, what's going to happen? You might want to whip their ass, especially if you needed it. But at the same time, you say, "Well, I got to find another way." And so
rob Peter to pay Paul. Is that a saying that you? I mean, that's got to be a. I don't know that I've never really heard white people using these sayings up until recently. Now I hear people saying things that I grew up hearing.
That's because
internet got to be the internet.
That's because the fact is that there was too much integration, and a lot of times a lot of us work on jobs with them, and then and then remember they still got those 90s shows, and remember the 90s, the 90s when they had all those black shows on TV, and they're still watching them. A lot of white people have adopted everything from us because the whole culture is us. I mean apple pie, macaroni and cheese, fried chicken, and then the first machines we made the shit. Elijah McCoy made the machine, made the manufacturing possible. Then Louis T. Lattimore and the other guy, they made it so, in a sense, the telephone would work and the light bulb would work. they need us. They need us. We don't need them, but they need us. But the only problem is that because of the fact that they made us begin to concentrate on just entertainment, because we're just concentrating on entertainment, our young people are not really making those inventions, you know. And then some of the inventions they making are anti-oil. See, white civilization today is based upon the combustion engine and in a sense petroleum. Now we made the combustion engine, but see, because everything is based upon petroleum, there's no way that they can ever move to electric cars. Even all your medicine, even all your pills are based upon plastics made by what? Petroleum.
Petroleum.
But
Right.
but it's a brother and found a way to make shit even better than plastic. But they got to bump that nigga off in a few years, because see, that is not going to make it. See, we keep making these inventions that can make America great, but these inventions that we're making that can make America great will impact the petroleum trade.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when they talk about everything gonna be electric cars, yeah, maybe in China, but not here, because we got too much oil.
That's for sure. That
You know?
yeah. Now the oil industry is that's old money, you know.
Because the oil industry is not just for automotives, it's also for pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
All your pills are made from, you know, plastics, which is made from oil. Everything, our whole economy. And see, this is why we're just so messed up. You know, we're so messed up because we're living in a very sad situation. Let's see what it creates so far. It says black sayings. In the hood, we tend to put the F word at the end of something negative just to emphasize it. Example, saying someone is broke as fuck, dumb as fuck, gay as fuck, high as fuck, etc. Fuck you. But anyway, I don't know. See,
I think he might be onto something. I saw this one.
A lot of that racial stuff, like, fascinating. You know, like the different rules of like who gets in trouble, who doesn't. Like, I've noticed black people have the genius to put the curse word after they say the race of the person, where white dudes, we always put it in front. And if we would just make that little adjustment, we could save so many careers, so many jobs could be saved in the white community if we would just put it after. You never notice that in conversation? You know, black guy being like, man, I was standing there, this Asian motherfucker came in, he starts talking about, you don't even hear it. You're just sitting there, oh, what did this Asian motherfucker do? I would love to hear the rest of this story, right? Dude, I would tell the exact same story, right? I'm standing there, right? This fucking Asian comes in, right? Everybody's all like, whoa, hey, easy, Jesus. What year is it, you know? It's like, dude, I just said what he said. I just preempted the fuck. That's all I did. He suggested he's hooking up with people's mothers. I'm not even doing that. It's just a quick, I got it out of the way. It's just how I talk. This fucking guy came in, he's fucking Asian. Dude, are you wearing sandals? Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I know. Bill Burr is racist. I know. But was he wrong? I don't know. That fucking guy, right?
But you know, but the thing is, it is something, you know, but you know, it's not said as much as you might imagine, you know, the fuck word, or motherfucker, all that, you know. But again, in a sense, is that, you know, it's that what is black culture? And so then, but see, if you're going to say what black culture is, you have to, in a sense, you have to use terms in a sense that are much more, they're not as practical. For example, in a sense, black creativity would be what? The inventors, the technological aspect of it. Black creativity would be the food and things like that. Black creativity would be the language. You know, sometimes I think about the fact is that is English really the white man's language, or is American English the black man language? Because see, so much of American English is full of words from African and Aboriginal, you know, culture. So much of the language is of African and Aboriginal origin. Therefore, in a sense, so is English not a black language? And so then these things have to be discussed. But a lot of times, in a sense, we lose our ability to really look at this stuff.
I used to, y'all know, I used to be a stickler for how my students write things. I still have issues with how some of them write things, and I think that as parents, you guys really should take a peek at what your child is submitting for their homework.
They wouldn't know what the hell, because that's how they talk. We write the way we talk, which is stupid.
That's my point. It's we can take words and it can have a whole bunch of different meanings.
Right.
You can only do that if the language is yours. That's
right.
Y'all can't move me off of that, because I feel so strongly about words. Words have meanings, and the fact that people are creating new words, that's a problem for me. I don't like that we can take a word and then change the meaning. I don't like that. We talked about being gay, but no, I don't know if it's dialect, Jerome. I think dialect is how it sounds, like country versus inner city. But
dialect is the orthography, in the sense is how people pronounce the language in different parts of the country,
Right. So I wasn't talking about dialect when I'm talking about using a word in multiple different ways. I mean, like if I say you good, or you good, or
just like before the popularity of TV, we used to have dialects. We had the New England dialect, we had the Southern dialect, we had the Midwestern dialect. But today, most people speak in the Midwestern dialect, and so then most people speak in a Midwestern dialect. You might find some people in the South that may still have a little bit of a southern.
You gotta go deep in or into the country, wherever you are going, if you want to hear that southern twang. Yeah, movies and Hollywood, that's where you're gonna get the dialects that we grew up on. There was a show, it's a cartoon, Bobby's World. I don't know. It was a cartoon from when I was growing up, and the mom, I think she's from Minnesota, and is it Minnesota that has that? They say something. They say it's almost like how Baltimore people say two, but is it Minnesota? What was she saying? I can't remember it. While I think about it, though, on the bottom, we were talking about plastics, and I don't know if y'all know this. I learned this a little while ago, not this year, a couple of years ago. But George Washington Carver and his contribution to industrial plastics. You see soy and everything because they use it to splice things. It's not healthy when you see soy and everything. But George Washington Carver was one of the founders, I guess, in using using soy as a plastic industrial material. And this is a picture of him right there with soy. It's what it says in a little footnote. See, George Washington Carver examining soy fiber. And that's from 1939. So I just wanted to throw that in there for you.
It still comes down to just the creativity in that we've lost so much of the creativity. That's one of the reasons why it's very sad that our kids now are focusing so much on entertainment, which is athletics or maybe it's all entertainment, athletics and showbiz and all that type of stuff, and so, but at the same time, in a sense, that's why I'm really wondering, maybe that's one of the reasons why America is 246 years old, whereas most European civilizations after 200 years, they collapse, they fall, but America's, I'm really just so interested. I'll probably be dead, but I'm very interested and how they're gonna move forward, because see, they can't move forward without us, but they hate us and they want to kill us. But they're killing themselves. They kill themselves. It's like they brought the pandemic, and they did the pandemic, and all it did was kill the old Negroes who already had heart trouble and stuff. Ask Chat GPT how many black people died during the COVID, and then ask them how many people died that had co-modalities and stuff. Mostly all of them who died was old people with co-modalities. Remember over in Africa, they was in most of Africa, they survived COVID off of hot toddies and shit.
Right. Look, when I saw that there were white people busting down the doors of clinics in the hood to get experiments, and then I also found out that, if you have Medicaid and stuff, you're not getting the same prescription that other people are getting. They actually have like vials and a set aside for you specifically.
And that's good. That's good.
Well, I'm saying there's a lot of people that I think probably are not supposed to be here because of the experiments, and then they happen to be here because they ran out of experiments.
Right. See, while they was giving them opium pain pills, they only gave us ibuprofen.
No codeine for you.
Yeah, and so now we know they all messed up with fentanyl and all that type of mess. Mm-hmm. Because the fact is, this is that they tried to do it. They were supposed to bring it back this year, but all it's going to do is kill them, because see, they're the ones who took the cure. Over in England behind the scenes, they're paying people who took who became handicapped after they took the so-called cure. But they're paying them undercover over in England,
Mm-hmm.
because it caused more problems, because they started seeing how so many people was dying from that. Some people was having heart trouble and all that type of stuff. Because see, the second epidemic, it came from people who had had the cure,
right.
From Moderna and all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, this is that, hey, so but they want to do it again. So we'll see what happens this year, but we'll see, because they were supposed to bring it back again this year, but I don't know if they're going to do it, because all it's going to do is mainly kill even more of them.
Right.
Because see, why isn't that stuff going to work on us, Eve?
Well, I think the sun kills a lot of the stuff that we're not supposed to have inside.
Right. Melanin. And the melanin in a sense absorbs that solar energy. You're a brainiac. You're a brainiac.
They say that we have a vitamin D deficiency because of where we are located on the planet. And while I would agree that there is some science there, North America is going to be further away from the sun than anywhere near the equator. However, I think that our melanin is an absorber and a magnet of sorts.
We always been here, though.
There you go.
Always been here. See the whole once we moved away from that myth that they brought us here. They didn't bring us here. We were already here.
Bingo.
See,
Absolutely.
We're already here. People forget 1776 they formed this country. They stopped bringing over here enslaved people in the Atlantic slave trade. They snuck some in, but after 1818 it was against the law.
Right.
Therefore we're all mainly us. Like right now, if you did an ancestry test on the average black person, you do an ancestry test, you go to Ancestry, you look at their file, sooner or later they're gonna all end up coming from either in a sense New England, or North and South Carolina or Virginia. Why? Because the people who became enslaved in Mississippi, Alabama, parts of Georgia, and out west, they all came from where? North Carolina, Maryland, and those states because they couldn't import them. Since they couldn't import them from overseas, they just kidnapped a nigga. Okay, if you was an Aboriginal, you a slave now, nigga. No. And you trying to tell you talking charter, you're talking Cree, and they say, listen to them talk that the white man say, listen to that Negro talk that African. He wasn't talking African. Trying to say, I'm not from Africa. I'm not from Africa. No African. Like those Dominicans say, me no African. But see, they didn't know.
They didn't know. It's I think MDDK in the chat says, I'm sorry if I messed your handle up, but you said it. They tricked them too. You know, America's older than the rest of these countries.
Yeah.
So people not having any memory of their story, that's not foreign to me now. It used to be foreign to me because we were taught that these people from the motherland had so much culture. You know, they work hard. They don't say that they work hard.
Yeah.
Fleeing, you know, they don't say that. They say that, look at this little boy in the dirt village with his bicycle made out of cardboard boxes. And it's like, whoa, that's pretty freaking cool. But in my research from our class, I've been, remember, it's about the industrialization, I'm sorry, the corporation aspect of schooling, you know, that really bothers me about what we've got going on here. And maybe just knowing what you just said earlier about how after 1818, they were not bold about shipping blacks here. So they had to get them from somewhere. Right. If y'all look at look at what we were taught. We were taught, so many of us came over on ships. Then they quietly started saying that's not true. Right. And then they quietly started saying, oh, 1526, oh, 1619, oh, Today, I looked it up while we've been talking. It says that there were only, get this, out of the 12.5 million Africans that were shipped to the New World from 1525 to 1866, only 10 million survived. And then out of the 10 million, only 380,000 were shipped directly to North America. And that's not just the United States, you know, that's Mexico and then the Caribbean too. So 388,000. I know. Just follow me for 2 more seconds, y'all. In Virginia, the state that I'm in, the state that I'm from, we had one of the highest enslaved populations. So either all the slaves in America came from Virginia, because there's almost 500,000 of us documented as being enslaved in Virginia, or we were already here. And all of these people were already here. And then these breeding farms that you keep hearing about, that it's like taboo, shush, we don't want to talk about it. Well, they make a lot more sense, because not only do you got people who in 2025 are doing really weird stuff with family, you know, it's some shit that they've been brought up on their whole lives. See, it comes from somewhere, and it's not
just like you know, people from the border states. When I was growing up, and when I'm saying it literally, people from Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, they used to have a lot of incest, you know, and I think they had a lot of incest because of the fact that those were states where there was a lot of, in a sense, you know, there was a lot of slave breeding, you know, in those states. And so they got used to having sex with each other. It's not as bad now. When I was younger, it used to be bad. A lot of those people having sex with family members and all that type of stuff. Now it's taboo. But back in the 60s, you could still see a lot of that stuff happening, you know.
I think that's an epigenetic memory of sorts. And then because we have all of the genetic variations, you know, we can do the blonde hair, even though it's not mine. You know, we can do the kinky and we can do the straight hair.
Yeah.
It's not red bone.
You can be the red bone or the coal black. You know?
But
but
that makes it so that we're not.
But this is it. This is it.
Go ahead.
You find very few. Now listen to me, Eve. You find very few native-born FBA women with big lips. Very few.
Really?
Most, yes. Look at your lips.
Well, yeah.
and the thing is this: that's one of the reasons why we can always say, "Oh, are you from Africa?" When we see certain women, because their lips are much bigger than our women lips. Their facial structure is different. Because the fact, in a sense, is that we didn't all come from Africa, and because we didn't all come from Africa, we can tell the difference between us and Africans. You know, and I mean, it's just the truth. You know.
That's for sure.
That's why when you was growing up, people said you got bubble lips or some shit because it was very few of us. Very few of us had the nice juicy lips that they say we're supposed to have, you know.
Yeah, they're supposed to have big lips, big nose.
Yeah.
But then I find that you can always tell if they're Ethiopian or Eritrean, Somalian. There you go.
Yeah.
Some of y'all's heads, they tell a tale. But,
and the biggest difference is that no matter what people say, you can get mad at Tariq all you want, the big forehead. Get the hell out of here. But sisters do not like you to talk about their foreheads, period.
Look, I had to do this the other day because I was thinking that my forehead was pretty big, but I got 4 fingers on my forehead. Some of y'all.
Yeah, but see, sisters over here, they modified. That's why back in the day, sisters over here always wore bangs.
Cover that thing. That's funny.
Yes,
that is funny. Yeah, I got some bangs today. That's too funny. But I was thinking about the genetic variation though. People shy away from it because it doesn't look like what white people told you it's supposed to look like. Yeah. And what I mean by that is when they say, "Oh, it's incest, and you're gonna have 3 titties and 4 left hands, and not be able to talk. You're gonna be a grunter," like those people who had that show on Netflix, the white family from they look like the people from the hills. Yeah, we've got too much variation. So yeah, you might have some flicted or retardation a little bit, but it might not even come out in a way that you can see it. Maybe it comes looking like autism. I don't know, but
because our genetic pool is so rich,
right?
It's so rich and so varied that even if incest takes place, it is so rich and varied. But as I told you, because the fact in the sense that as slavery went west, as slavery went out, moved out westward, all the slaves was coming from what? New England and North Carolina and Virginia. They came from the Carolinas and Virginia because that's where the slaves were. Right. Carolinas, Virginia, and New England and stuff. And so that's why you go back to I love I'm trying to think about I can't think of his name. He's in Washington, and his cancer is bad. I know Dr. Short. Yeah, Dr. Short. I hate that now he wants to have children, but he's got cancer real bad and stuff, and it's coming back. But again, in a sense, is that how when he started really doing his research and going back to kings and queens and all that type of shit, that's just it. But a lot of it comes through North Carolina, Virginia, and then why North Carolina and Virginia? Because they had to get the slaves from somewhere to put in Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas, Florida. They had to get the slaves from somewhere, and that's where most of the people workers, they wasn't bringing them from Africa. See, and that's the whole point. And in fact, that's why if you find some black person said, "Oh, I took a DNA test," and they said I belong to the Hausa and the Yoruba tribe, and I'm an Igbo tribe. If you took a test and they're playing with your ass, you either gonna belong to the Fulani or a Gambian tribe, or you're gonna be related to people in Mozambique. Because I'm serious.
No, you're right. And then the Department of Education needed to be dealt with, you guys, because what y'all learn in public school, you learn about life starting in Africa, and then there's no more Black people mentioned until slavery, and then there's no more Black mentioned until Dr. Martin Luther King. And then it's very strange that we can have all of these hops in our story, but
these gaps.
Yeah, our story's so rich, and I think once people care enough about their stuff, people start hearing, oh, that check, oh shit, I think I qualify. Oh wait, where did my grandmama say she was from? Was it Louisiana? I know it's somewhere in the South. I don't know. You start claiming Louisiana, I might think you from Haiti,
from the Caribbean.
Oh no!
This is it. 3 places you're gonna be suspect. If you in New York,
Louisiana,
New York, Louisiana, Florida, and now Texas. So there's a lot of Texas moving down to Texas, especially if you're around Houston. Dallas, we might can talk. If you're from Houston, you're not Igbo, And but it's but like I said, is that it's history is so beautiful, but so much we didn't deal with because a lot of us, we didn't really care about our Aboriginal origins back in the day. We didn't really care about it. But if we would have concentrated on our Aboriginal origins, we would have did it. Just like somebody was talking to me the other day, and they were saying, Dr. Winters, what if, they never really talk about the ancient history of America. They never really talk about what happened to those stone pyramids.
Right. And they're not going to unless we make them.
Yeah. And what happened to those stone roads? They don't never want to talk about, they want to skip over that shit and say, oh, that was down in Mexico. The only reason they in Mexico, they was in the damn forest and they couldn't find them. They was under a lot of damn dirt. Over here, when the white man found them, tear that motherfucker up. Blow it up. I'm telling you, you think I'm lying. Oh, you found some Black people in that tomb, blow that motherfucker up. Oh, you found some Black people in cave stuff in the Grand Canyon. You better put a big giant fence over that motherfucker and say it's over there when it's really over here. Right. And so it is just so much, they say under the Smithsonian Institution, there's a little city under there. And the same thing for the British Museum. But see, I don't know if there's any Black people work down there, but probably I really wish I could meet the custodians, but they might not even have Black custodians work down there. Because they might be afraid that nigger might tell the truth. It's I don't know. I don't know.
Well, this reality check, I think it's been pretty exciting for me. I hope it was exciting for you guys too. Jug, welcome to the channel. I hope either you're already subscribed to Dr. Winters. Now you're subscribed to me too. So you'll see us on Wednesdays. And for everybody else who already joins us, y'all are so cool. These conversations couldn't happen the way that they happen without your participation. So I'm glad y'all participated tonight. Dr. Winters, we might have to talk about that incest thing because I think it got brought up in research class and now it's getting brought up again in the chat. We might have to talk about it.
We might have to talk about it, but the thing is this is that it's much more interesting than they might imagine.
That's for sure.
Our identity and our culture as Black foundational Americans. Yes. Wars between Black Indians and whites were manufactured to produce Black slaves for whites. The English, the French, and the Dutch provided the Native Americans with guns, rum, and cheap goods to purchase Native American Indian slaves. Between 1670 and 1720, many Black Native Americans were enslaved. The Black Native Americans were sold into slavery throughout the 13 colonies, Mississippi Valley, Canada, and the British West Indies. The majority of Black Native Americans sold into slavery by whites and Indians slave traders were the Choctaw, the Yamasee, and other Carolina tribes. Yes, yes. Many of these tribes like the Mandi, Mandinga, many of these tribes, we lost their names. And their names have been lost to history because of the fact, in the sense that when the European came, as he conquered these black Indians, he just made them slaves. And so over time, in a sense, their nations disappeared. Over time, in a sense, their history wasn't recorded. Over time, they were even able to deny that Aboriginal blacks even existed in America. They wanted to give our Aboriginal ancestors gifts. And the only problem with the gifts that they gave us was that often these blankets that they gave us carried smallpox. Yes, diseases. They also, in a sense, gave us another gift, rum, fire water. And this rum caused an addiction among us. In a sense, it led to a demand for guns because it incentivized Indian slave trading. Yes, the first slaves sold in America were Indians, black Indians, selling other black Indians to Europeans to work on their cotton, not on their cotton plantations, their tobacco plantations, their rice plantations. Yes, yes, yes. We sold each other over here, just like in Africa, because of the fact is that we failed to understand that we are one, we are one, we are one. We should be united based upon our identity and our culture as black foundational Americans. Yes, yes. Reparations, baby, reparations. We deserve reparations. We deserve reparations like yesterday, not just today. No, not just today. We deserve our reparations. Give us our money, baby. Cut the check.
Cut the check, black first because it's brilliant. People talk too much. Say less, remain on cold, follow the spirit. When the going gets tough, it's time for resilience. Cut the check, black first because it's brilliant. People talk too much. Say less, remain on cold, follow the spirit. When the going gets tough,
The only thing that can save you is be one, be one, be one. To fight Cage, you must stay black first.